Hey YouTube, how are you? Hope everyone had a nice Saturday and a nice week. Um, I'm doing this video because an important milestone actually passed early this week, and I didn't realize it until today, until just a few minutes ago. I think that's probably a testimony to just how intense the last month of my life has been. I had a therapy session earlier today, and I was kind of catching my therapist up on what's been going on the last couple of weeks. And, once again, I basically just did a 45-minute monologue. um, and, at the end, she's like, my God, Cass, you live like such a... She said, your life is never boring. I said, yeah, I think it's true. I mean, it's been pretty good for the most part the last few weeks in particular, but it's like, yeah, I could go for it being a little bit less intense. I'm hoping very soon. I could settle for a little bit of normalcy, I think, after all the craziness of the last little bit. Anyway, I think that probably accounts for why this milestone passed by without me really thinking about it. But I realized that Tuesday of this past week marked the third anniversary of starting hormones. It's like, oh, man, it feels simultaneously like it just happened and like it was a million years ago. And I kind of feel that way about the last month too. When I was talking with my therapist today, I was kind of running through things. I'm like, okay, no, oh God, okay, so when did that happen? Okay, that was like Monday afternoon. And then Monday night, it's like, that felt like a million years ago. So sometimes this really feels that weird dichotomy of feeling like it just happened and that it happened ages ago. It's been... So I guess what I want to do with this video is kind of talk about what the differences have been. In this year in particular, I think it's because of what happened the last 4 or 5 weeks. That's what's made all the difference. I remember the day that I started. I was living in Newport, Rhode Island at the time still, and some friends were coming down from out of town to visit. We're going to have lunch, and I had the pills in my hand, and I just remember staring at them for the longest time. It was probably a good 20 or 30 minutes. Just kind of knowing, once you do this, there's no turning back. And of course, I knew I couldn't turn back. I just couldn't. The only way I can go is to move forward. I knew, and so finally, I realized I was going to be late for lunch if I didn't get moving. So that was it. I just popped them in my mouth, took some water, and off I went. And when I met my friends, I told them, well, this actually can be kind of a celebration dinner because I just started hormones. And I remember my friend, they congratulated me, and my friend asked me, so, you must be writing a blog about this. And blog post. I said, oh, absolutely. I said, I already have a title. She asked me what it was, and I said, I'm going to call it HRT Day 1, aka, where the fuck are my boobs? So, they both burst out laughing, and she's like, you wouldn't dare. And I'm like, oh, wouldn't I? So as soon as someone tells me that, it's like, well, that means I'm doing it, generally. So I did. And that started a tradition when I write these, annual blog posts about, the HRT anniversary, to have some really dumb play on words, because I love puns. One of them, I think, was the not so young and breastless. Another one was the breast is yet to come. Clear, very sophisticated humor here at work, obviously. And this year, I thought, so things are changing this year in terms of my, what's happening on the boob front. And it's been the last few months that have changed it, actually. I think I've talked before about how my hormone levels really hadn't changed for almost 2 years. which is kind of amazing when you think about it, being on HRT for almost 3 years. And I think it was probably just the stress of, my job and my family situation. I know, my doctor has said she doesn't think that's part of it, but I have to think it was. Just the level of stress that I was under. But the difference, it's pretty clear to me now in retrospect, was when I started running at the end of the beginning of August. I decided to run at the end of July, and I began at the beginning of August. I had gained a lot of weight over the last few years for the first time in my life. Just because of a bunch of things that happened, which I think I've talked about before. And this year I just decided it's time. You're going to get back to where you've been since you were in high school, which is what I weighed. I weighed the same from junior year in high school until the day I started this job 2.5 years ago. So I've lost, as of last Saturday, I haven't weighed myself this week, but I had lost 35 pounds so far. And I needed it. I know people have told me they don't believe that, but I did. And I still need to lose some more. But I'm a lot closer. I'm about more than 2/3 of the way there now. That is what's made the difference, I think, because the last few months things have clearly started to change in terms of the hormones and doing their job. And for all my joking about my breasts, that is kind of how I realized that the changes were happening. A lot of it was internal, actually. I think that's the most important thing about taking hormones is the changes that happen internally, and just in terms of settling your brain down, and just finally there's just that constant sense of displacement and not just not knowing something was profoundly wrong go away. Before I started them, I remember reading that people would say within a couple of weeks of starting, they just felt this sense of calm for the first time in their life, and that's exactly what it was. Things just started. So many things didn't make sense before. I'd really struggled, and I don't think I understood just how profound it had been. That sense of just not knowing, knowing that things weren't what they were supposed to be. And in particularly the last few months, that's really changed. So many more things make sense now. I can't really talk about all of them yet. I just prefer not to. But on so many fronts, one in particular, I'm kind of figuring out who I really am and what I really want. I talked with my therapist about this today, in fact, and said, she was asking me about this particular event and said, how did it make you feel? And I said, it felt right. And I can't, if you've never had it happen, it's hard. I lived my whole life knowing something was wrong and struggling desperately to figure out what to do about it, but not knowing or not accepting what the cause was. It was probably more not accepting it. And now I do. And it really started that night, that week of Halloween. I had to hit rock bottom to do it, but since I've done that, things have just changed tremendously. So getting back to, I was joking about the silly breast puns. The last few weeks I look down, like when I'm taking a shower or something, and I can just see the difference in my body. The internal changes are that's the most important part. Learning to accept yourself. But the physical changes are also really important. And I'm finally letting myself accept that, those changes are happening too. and for the better. So the boobs are definitely getting there. They're still pretty small. One thing I've realized recently, like for a long time, I was just kind of, I guess, ambivalent or even almost dismissive about breast implants. But now, I'm like, no, I'm gonna do what it takes to get them. Um, I'm pretty slender, borderline scrawny. I think when I get back to my regular weight, I'll be scrawny again. So I'm not going to get very big on my own, but I think just in terms of, I just think it will help. I've spoken with several friends who had them, and they talk about what a difference it makes. I look down now and like they look okay when, I wear a lot of, obviously I wear padded bras. I'm not that big. And I'm generally okay with that, but I'm like, it would be nice when they don't have to be padded. So that'll take a while, but I'll get there. So what's really been, so I was thinking about this beforehand about how to talk about it because it's something that makes me uncomfortable. But what I've found is when something makes me uncomfortable, that usually means it's something I should talk about. Either, usually with my therapist, but sometimes like just something like this. So I decided I would talk about it a little bit because maybe it'll be a way I can remember later on, and also maybe it'll help some people if they ever stumble across these, when they're starting their journey, to just see that someone else feels the same way or felt the same way as they might be feeling or wondering the same things they might be wondering. For the longest time, when I started out on hormones, my goal was basically, I wanted to pass, period. That anything beyond that would be gravy. And, some of my friends were like really complimentary. It really kind of shocked me. And I really didn't know what to make of it. But in the last couple of weeks, I, especially since that day that, when I got up for Halloween and I kind of stumbled my way through my makeup, because it was only the second day I tried it. But I looked in the mirror and I thought I saw me for the first time, and I saw the me that I think my friends were seeing all along. And, and it's an amazing feeling to realize, like, again, it's just kind of embarrassing, but I'll just say it. I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh my God, like, I'm a babe. I think I might have said that last week, but it's so striking to me. It's like, I never really let myself think that. But, I see it now. I was talking with a friend at work this week, and I was telling her about that, and kind of saying, like, it's just such a strange experience. Like, I can see, like, people are very complimentary, I guess. And she was saying, hey, look, hang on a second, get that out of my way. I had a little thing pop up on my screen, another one. Go away. There we go. Now you get out of the way too. It's just, I lost my train of thought there a little bit, but I think, oh yeah, I remember now. So she was telling me, like, you look at your friends. I have a whole circle of friends who've transitioned, who are all about 2 years ahead of me. And she said, one thing you need to remember. She said, they're all 2 years ahead of you. She said, if you look at where they were 2 years ago and where they are now, she said, remember, that's going to happen to you too. And it's kind of a crazy feeling to realize, like she's right. It's very, very strange and also like really, really exciting. I know a lot of it is self-acceptance. And I can it just people are responding to me differently now. I guess that's the way I would put it. And I think the clearest example I can give of that Well, not the clearest. I can't really talk about the clearest one, but not yet anyway. I went and got my hair done yesterday, which, you know, it doesn't seem that way when you look at it right now, because I went for a run earlier today, so it's kind of a mess. But I got my hair done yesterday, and they hadn't seen me in, I think, 10 weeks, you know, which in terms of what's been happening lately, that's like an eternity. You know, I mean, I'm wearing makeup now, which I wasn't before. They'd never seen me come in with makeup. I had just started running at that point, because it would have been like the first week of September, I guess, something like that. So I would have been, you know, just only running for about a month at that point. But I kind of forgot that when I was walking in, that it had been that long, because things have just been so intense. So, you know, I go in, and they've had the same people there the whole time that I've worked there. So, and then, you know, the receptionist, you know, she knows me. I walked in, and, you know, she was helping someone else, and she looks up and, you know, "Hi, miss, can I help you?" And I said, "Yeah, I have a 5:30 appointment." And she's like, "Okay, with who?" And I'm like, you know, "Juliana." And she's like, "Oh my God." It's like, oh, it's like, "I can't believe it. I can't believe that's you." I said, "Yeah, I can't either sometimes." And then later, the owner came over while I was I was waiting for my stylist to get ready for me. You know, she came over and just sat down and started chatting. And you know, at one point, she said, "You know, honey, I just want to tell you something." It's like, "Do you have any idea like how beautiful you are?" And you know, it's just so weird to hear people talk like that, because she clearly meant it. You know, it happened a couple of weeks ago when I got my makeup done professionally, you know, for that weird Halloween party that I went to. It's taking some getting used to realize, like, you know, something you never thought would happen, you know, is happening. And it's very cool. So I guess for anyone who's, you know, just starting out, you know, I would say, you know, just if you work really hard and, you know, believe in yourself and just do everything you can to be the best you, you know, figure out who you really is, which I'm still doing. But if you work really hard at it, you know, it will, people will see that eventually. And you know, something my therapist said last week, which I may have mentioned in my last video. You know, I was telling her like how, you know, sometimes I just kind of look in the mirror now and I just kind of like stare at myself, and I can't believe it's me. And you know, she said the mirror is neutral, Cass. You know, it's only reflecting what you're seeing. You know, he said, and now you're seeing yourself finally. And if you work hard enough and just don't give up, you know, it can happen. You know, and the great thing is, I know, you know, I'm just getting started. And that's pretty cool. I've learned so much about myself in the last month. So many good things and things that I'm planning to explore as I move forward. I'm finding a lot of really surprising things about myself. Things that I'm like, wow, I never knew I was going to be interested in that. And hopefully I get the opportunity to explore some of those things. And maybe I'll talk about those some other time. As I said, the last couple weeks have been really eventful. Some things that I never really expected to happen kind of out of the blue. And it's been very, very cool, and I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes. You know, I can see, I'm really excited about where I'm going to be 6 months from now, a year from now, who I'm going to be, what I'm going to look like, where my life is going. I can't wait to find out. And for most of my life, I was really just running out the string, which is a horrible way to live. And I'm not running out the string anymore. I kind of borrowed a phrase from one of my friends who's a couple of years ahead of me in terms of her transition. And after she went full-time, she said that she wakes up every day feeling stupid happy. And that's really how I feel, even when, like, this, right now work has been really stressful, but I still wake up that way. I'm like, I get to wake up and go through every day as me now. And even this week, like, there was some things going on there that even 6 weeks ago, I would have been really, really stressed out by this, and I would have been maybe I wouldn't have been beating myself up. A year ago, I definitely would have been beating myself up over them. And I was a little bit, I had to go to this meeting yesterday, and I was like, I kind of wish I didn't have to do it. But at the same token, it was a good thing because I realized I went and I just said, my sense of self-worth and self-esteem is not completely wrapped up in my job, and it's not wrapped up in what other people think of me, including, people, my quote-unquote superiors, most of whom are very cool, I will say. It's people there have been absolutely wonderful to me from the moment I told my manager, my couple of friends and my manager. Everyone there has been wonderful. I could not ask for more. But, just in the work front, it can be a little frustrating sometimes. But now, I realized yesterday, my sense of self-worth does not get affected by what people here think of me. I want to do a really good job, and I work really hard. I'm in kind of a difficult position just because of the way circumstances are, but I'm not letting it dictate my entire life, and I'm not hiding at work anymore. I work really hard when I'm there, but now when I leave, that's it. And I knew I had this meeting coming up yesterday when I left Thursday evening, but once I got out the door, well, I had a headache actually, which is not that pleasant, but I know why I had the headache. But once I left the office, that was it. I wasn't thinking about it anymore, whereas before I would just dread every single night going to bed, like, oh God, I gotta get up in the morning, and go there. And, it's still not great, but my focus now is, okay, well, I've got those, 9.5 hours, whatever it is, 9 hours, 10 hours. I guess it's more than that if you include the commute, which is still kind of crappy, but, that's not my life. That's something I do every day or 5 days a week, but it's not my life and it's not who I am. It doesn't define me. And for a long time I did let it define me. Well, no more. No more. There's a whole world out there for me to explore. And I'm starting to do that. And so I guess my message to anyone else who's thinking of starting this journey for themselves is, if you work really hard at it and really take the time to learn about who you are and what you want, you can reach that point where you say, I get to decide what's important to me and what isn't, and what I want people, what I want to present to the world, not what other people decide I should present to the world. So I guess that would be my message. It took me a long time to learn it, so hopefully it will take others, it won't take them 3 years. I'm like going through all the crap that I went through. Maybe it'll save somebody some time. All right, I'll stop rambling here because this has gone much longer than I expected. So the next time we do one of these, I promise I will have some really big news. I have one other person I need to tell this news to. I want to tell, maybe not in person, but just let them know about this news before I kind of talk about it to everybody else. But it'll be worth the wait, I promise. So until then, I hope you have a lovely Sunday. For those of you here in the States, like me, next week is Thanksgiving week, so I have a 3-day week. Yay! I'm going to spend Thanksgiving with some friends. I'm going to be having a vegetarian Thanksgiving for the first time ever. Um, Years ago, when I lived in Seattle, I had a tofu Thanksgiving. I I just remember they the, the I was staying. I rented an apartment from friends. I was renting an in-law apartment at the time, and they were nice enough. Usually, I went away at Thanksgiving when I was out there. I would go to Vancouver or something. But this year, I just happened to be, and they would go away too. But this year, we all happened to be in town, and they said, they were nice enough. They would always invite me to things when I was there because they knew my family was all back east. So they invited me to this. So we can have a tofu, and there were like 6 or 7 of us at the dinner table, and they were vegetarians, but they were nice enough to make a regular turkey as well, a small one for myself, and I think one other person there was not vegetarian. So, they were cutting up the tofurkey, and they said, do you want to try a slice? And I said, yeah, what the heck, I'll give it a shot. So we all sort of started eating at the same time. I just remember the expressions on their faces, like, God, if they look that perturbed, I can only imagine what my face looks like. So it was kind of like eating rubber. Oh God, it was so awful. Anyway, this will be much better. I know it will be much better because I actually like some veggie dishes, so I'm looking forward to this. But that being said, I think on Friday I am gonna go and get a turkey dinner someplace. There's a little diner up the street from me that makes amazing turkey, so I'm going to have some there because I love turkey, so I don't want to miss out on it. So on that note, I guess I'll say Happy Thanksgiving to those of you here in the state, I guess, and Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. It's always good to kind of take stock and realize, what you have to be grateful for, and, this year in particular, I think I have a whole lot to be grateful for, and I hope you do too. So on that note, I will see you really soon. Bye.